Half of what he's digging up is real and on the record, mind. The rest, I couldn't tell you, as in I literally couldn't tell you. That arrow looked massive, and I would have liked 5 more seconds to see what it was actually pointing at. That would have probably cleared up a lot of the mystery, I reckon.
Why is the government trying to take this 175-year-old family farm for the greater good? That is the Henry family farm. It's a 21-acre farm in Cranberry, New Jersey, and it's been in Andy and Christopher's family since 1850. Their grandfather and mother were born here, and when their grandfather passed in 1936, their grandmother and mother continued to run the farm. Today, the land is leased by ranchers for cattle and sheep. Needless to say, this farm is their legacy. It's why they've turned down as much as $30 million to purchase it. So you can imagine the shock when Andy Henry got a letter from the township's attorney in April, stating the town would like to purchase the property for affordable housing. And if the Henry family doesn't want to sell, they'll just take it anyway, via eminent domain. Chairman Mao would have loved this. Eminent domain is where the government can acquire private property for public use, like building bridges and trains. They can also seize your land for private projects, and the Supreme Court agrees on this. The projects are supposed to benefit the greater good, and the government is supposed to provide fair market value. This area used to all be farmland, but today it's surrounded by warehouses. And now New Jersey has its sights set on social justice. This is because of a new law passed in 2024 saying New Jersey must add or renovate 146,000 affordable housing units by 2035. There's also a ton of criteria too, like water, sewer, access to mass transit, and a 250-foot warehouse buffer. For Cranberry, this means building 265 new affordable housing units over the next decade, and the Henry farm only covers half of that. A month after the township sent the letter, they passed an ordinance to acquire the farm, and by June, they'd submitted plans to the state. Apparently, the development would be in partnership with the Walters Group. They're a New Jersey-based private developer that specializes in affordable housing. They even boast about their lawyer-turned-business partners' unparalleled network of connections with elected officials. The plans only call for 12 acres of the 21-acre farm, allowing the Henry family to keep their farmhouse and the farm buildings. It would include 130 apartments for very low to moderate rate incomes. The public was outraged on the Henry family's behalf, which CNN called a MAGA storm. And even though the USDA sent a letter saying the property falls under the Farmland Protection Policy Act, the Henry brothers received an appraisal notice in July from a realty company hired by the township. The property will be inspected to determine its market value because the city is still going to proceed with eminent domain. Mayor Lisa Neerum says it's the township's responsibility to protect the interest of all residents, unless, of course, you're a farm owner getting in the way of the government's land grab. The Henrys filed the lawsuit to halt the development, with construction set to begin as soon as February 2027. So if the government can just take what it wants when it wants, what do you really own?
So a family turns down 30 million for a farm that they've held since 1850, and the council's move is to take it anyway and call it the greater good. That's, well, typical. Sounds about right now, doesn't it? Eminent domain actually was meant for a railway, not for handing your entire legacy to a developer with the right friends.
This video shows how much water each country uses per year, so let's see who's at the top. I mean, already the smallest of countries are using lakes worth of water. I can't even imagine how much the big ones are going to use. And I should note, this is based off of use and not consumption. So just because China has the most people doesn't necessarily mean they use the most water. So you have to consider irrigation, agriculture, I guess restaurants to an extent. So I'd say US, China, India, maybe Russia, Canada. No, Canada's pretty low. Wow, you guys gotta drink more water. Philippines, wow, so let's see where the US is. Pakistan, you guys drink a lot. There's the US. China. Wow, so India uses more water per year than China.
Use isn't drinking, it's mostly farming, so this is really a map of who irrigates most. However, I'd love to see this redone, taking into account the AI data centers popping up everywhere seemingly overnight. It would tell you probably a significantly different story now, wouldn't it? Hello and welcome back to another episode. If you're new here, my name is NEXOR. My job is to take you down the rabbit hole and not to find the bomb, but to find the thread which resides within and extract it and practice our discernment along the way. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, there's a lot more lined up for for you, but what I'll do is ask you to subscribe at this point so I don't have to interrupt you later on. It is actually incredibly beneficial at this point with YouTube changing a lot of things behind the scenes, and we are looking to try and hit 200,000 subscribers by the end of this month. If every single person watching who hasn't subscribed yet, who always seems to return to watch, wants to do that, we would annihilate that goal in a single day. But with that being said, let's crack on.
This video went super viral on TikTok. After looking at some chicken under the microscope, the user finds a bunch of worms. This is fake. It's made up for shock value. So what's really in a piece of chicken? Well, let's find out. These chicken pieces are mass produced, so they undergo a bit of processing. Here you can see that I found microplastic in the chicken, but let's take a closer look using my biological microscope. I'm going to look at the juice of the chicken to see if there are any worms living inside it. You are going to be surprised by what I found, and the following footage explains why you need to thoroughly cook chicken. So you can see fats, oils, and proteins that are inside the chicken. The fibers change color under polarized light, but on closer inspection I found moving bacteria. But this is very different to worms. You are unlikely to find worms, but still wash and cook your chicken.
Did he just say wash and cook your chicken? I'm sorry, what? Wash? Why are people washing raw chicken? And most importantly, how? Is this an American thing? It feels like an American thing. I mean that lovingly, of course, but you guys have some curious practices out there. Again, I say that with love.
Did you know in Germany it's legal to break out of prison? So German law considers the desire for freedom a basic human instinct. So attempting to escape itself isn't a crime. Here's the catch though. You can't commit any other crimes while escaping. No violence against guards, no damage to property, no stealing. If you do escape and get caught, they'll bring you back to finish your sentence, but no extra time will be added if you didn't commit any other crime.
I do enjoy a good legal trivia that sounds mad and then makes complete sense. They're not rewarding the escape. They've decided the itch to be free isn't a crime, only the window you smashed getting out. Refreshingly honest about human nature, really.
So I go, Marco. She goes, Polo. I go, are you Marco? I go, Marco? And she goes, Polo. Peekaboo. I've cleared this place like, I don't know, 10 times now. Maybe somebody like hid in here. And mannequins are creepy. Marco. Where you at? Come here. Put your hands behind your back. Thank you for doing the Marco Polo thing. That was awesome.
She knew she couldn't hide in the mannequins forever and decided it was her time. I never expected Marco Polo to ever be used like this.
People are now asking ChatGPT to take a selfie of itself, and this is literally breaking the internet. So all you have to do is come over to ChatGPT and put in /image. Then you're just going to want to copy this prompt, and you're going to get this blurry, awkward selfie of what ChatGPT thinks that it looks like. The weirdest part is that some people are getting images of animals, while others are getting these very unsettling selfies of robots. So go find out what your ChatGPT looks like, and if you want the full prompt, just follow me and comment selfie, and I'll shoot it over to you.
I don't see the problem here. The AI is doing exactly what it has been asked to do. Am I missing something here, or do people just not get how AI works still? Every single person you see on screen here is the reason that I'm sat here every single day making these episodes, and I can't thank them enough because they are personally offsetting the cost of every single production. So again, thank you. I sincerely appreciate it. I never asked you to do that, yet you have done it, and there's nearly 200 of you, so it's just incredible. Honestly, thank you. It doesn't just help me, it helps everybody because they get to see these videos, whether or not they're subscribed, whether or not they're a channel member. But if you are interested in joining, again, I'm not asking you to join, but the link is down below in the description. With that being said, let's crack on with the rest of this episode.
A lot of people don't understand George Carlin was pretty right down the middle. Check this out.
How I handle some of these speech issues concerning minorities. First of all, I say black. I say black because most black people prefer black. I don't say people of color because it's dishonest. It means precisely the same thing as colored people, which is an insult. So if you're not willing to say colored people, you shouldn't be willing to say people of color. And besides, to me, the whole idea of color seems a bit specious, really. I mean, what should we call white people? People of no color? Isn't pink a color? And in fact, white people are not really white at all. They're different shades of pink and olive and beige. In other words, they're colored. And black people are rarely black. I see mostly various shades of brown and tan, and in fact, some light-skinned black people are darker than the darkest white people. I'm sorry, lighter than the darkest white people. Look how dark the people in India are. They're dark brown, but they're considered white. May I see the color chart, please? People of color is an awkward phrase that obscures meaning rather than enhancing it. What shall we call fat people? People of size? I also don't say African Americans. I find it cumbersome and confusing. Which part of Africa are we talking about? Egypt? Egypt is in Africa, but Egyptians aren't black. They're like the people in India. They're dark brown white people. But they're Africans. So why wouldn't an Egyptian citizen who becomes an Egyptian who becomes a U.S. citizen be called an African American? The same would apply to South Africa. Suppose a white racist from South Africa becomes an American citizen. Couldn't he call himself an African American? If for no other reason than just to bother black people. And what about a black person born in South Africa who becomes an American citizen? Is he an African American or is he a South African American? Or is he simply a South African American African American? You know, it's just so much more tedious liberal labeling. Liberals should be taught that labels divide people, and I think we could probably do with fewer labels, not more. Now, one more group, the Indians. I call them Indians because that's what they are. They're the Indians. There's nothing wrong with the word. First of all, it's important to know that Indian, that word probably does not derive from Columbus believing he had reached India in 1492. India was called Hindustan. More likely, the word derives from Columbus's description of the people he found here. He was an Italian who spoke very poor Spanish, and in his written accounts, he called the Indians una gente in Dios, a people in God. In God, in Dios, Indians. It's a perfectly noble thing. And I simply can't justify this awkward phrase, Native Americans. First of all, they're not natives. They came here from Asia over the Bering Land Bridge. In fact, there are no natives anywhere in the world. Everyone is from somewhere else.
Carlin picking a phrase apart until it topples. People of color turning out to be the same insult in a smarter coat. It lands because it's logic, not spite. He's right in the end. No such thing as a native anywhere. I love it.
So if you take an LCD screen like this and get a razor blade and cut into it, you can cut off the top polarizer. And so once you're done and you pulled all of this off, then when you turn it on, it should just be a blank white screen. And so we just get a bunch of white light coming off. But you can see if you take the top polarizer and then stick it back on, now the only light that's getting through are the pixels that twisted their light. So what this means is now if you just put a polarizer in front of the screen, you can now see a picture when other people can't. And if you don't want to hold a filter up in front of the screen, then you can just actually just cut out a little bit of the filter and put it on some glasses. So now here's what it would look like to wear the glasses. See that? Oh yeah, sorry. So now you can watch cat videos all day at work if you want.
Brilliant, useless, and exactly the afternoon I'd happily lose. No sound needed and none earned. A bus stop out editorializing every paper in the country.
This is McAllen, Texas, the obesity capital of America. Do you know why McAllen's the obesity capital?
The food, and they don't walk. People like to eat junk food, chips, McDonald's.
So you gotta be lazy as hell to not even walk. Is this like a McAllen specific thing?
Yeah.
I thought I was in Wally for a second until I met this guy.
I lost a brother and sister to diabetes. Got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes as well. That inspired me to write a children's book. The book is called The Adventures of Exo and Psy, like exercise. I'm trying to do my part to get people to change the way they eat. At the start of every good Mexican dish is a good handful of lard. That beef fajita taco has close to 1,000 calories right there.
We got a ton of pastries here. Are you ordering here?
Tu concha.
McAllen. She has diabetes and she's buying the products.
It's my brother and sister, Mary and Henry, who passed away. I don't want anybody to have to go through what my family's had to go through. Eat healthy, exercise.
I then met up with Mark from My 600-Pound Life to see a day in his life as he tried to lose weight.
My life consisted of here to there to the bathroom, pretty much just locked in here depressed.
Tap here to see his story.
The bloke who lost a brother and sister and wrote a kid's book out of it is the human bit under the scooter gag. This is a big problem, but it's met with shaming and a scooter gag. What is this world?
Never eat these foods. Pag is food found in rubbish dumps. It's from the Philippines. People called pag collectors go to rubbish dumps. They collect food people have thrown away, some of which is half-eaten or rotten. They then sell this to nearby restaurants, found in the poorest areas of the Philippines. All of this food waste is then put into one pot. Spices are added to mask the taste. The pag is then served to poor people, who pay just 20 cents for a bowl. But the people who eat this have built up up strong stomachs over the years. Mud cookies can be found in Haiti. They're not sweet or savory. They're hard to swallow and have no nutritional value because the cookies are literally made of mud. Poor people in Haiti eat these simply to fill their stomachs, as starvation can be incredibly painful. The cookies are made by mixing dirt and water before leaving them out in the sun to harden. These mud cookies sell for about 5 cents, but the people who eat them live on about $1 per day. Ambaz is a food from Sudan. It's made from just 2 things: cheap animal feed and water. The animal feed is the leftover material after oil is pressed from seeds and nuts, and is purely eaten for survival. It's normally only eaten by cows, who have much stronger stomachs than humans, but people in Sudan eat it to prevent hunger pains.
Now that is a hard watch. I need to remind everyone that we are living in 2026, the year of the world's first trillionaire.
What the heck? People missing poor moose. What if that's the same one? What if? Oh, look, it fell. Mind my quality, guys. Oh, klung. Did it fall in the water? Oh, look, it's right there, I think. No.
Poor thing, just a moose crossing a river that's decided to be neither water nor land, with a fella narrating it like the saddest wildlife doc ever made. It gets up in the end though. I really hope it does anyway. A big part of me wants to believe it got back up.
Morbid Facts, Part 1029. Before Judge Judy became the most famous judge on television, Judith Sheindlin spent years in the New York City Family Court, where she handled thousands of disturbing cases involving neglect, addiction, and child abuse. One case involved a crack-addicted mother who gave birth alone in a bathroom, where her premature baby fell onto the floor and fractured his skull. Judy also described seeing children burned with cigarettes or placed in scalding hot water as punishments. Years of dealing with these awful cases helped shape her brutally direct courtroom personality that would eventually make her famous on TV. In 2020, Mitchell Brotherson suffered a severe concussion in a skiing accident just one day after his girlfriend Jenna broke up with him. The head injury caused memory loss that completely erased the breakup, so during his recovery, Mitchell continued treating Jenna as if they were still together. As she helped him recover and they began spending time together again, Jenna realized she'd made a mistake and wanted the relationship back. 7 months after the accident that made Mitchell forget she dumped him, the couple got married.
I'll leave the Judy half alone. Some family court cases don't need my comment staple on, but the second one, a concussion wipes the breakup and the pair end up married. Can't say if that's romantic or tragic.
Money means one eye. Mon comes from mono, which means single, alone, or one. EY means eye. The one eye is a symbol of God. Money has become people's gods.
You can chop any word up and read a message in the offcuts if you've decided the message is there in the first place.
What if every single millionaire in the world gave you $1? I don't know, but I DM'd every single millionaire in the world and I asked them for $1. So apparently there's only 60 million millionaires in the entire world, but most of them don't have their information online. So I did what I could and I found 1 million of them, which is honestly pretty solid because if only 1% of them send me $1, that's still $10,000. So let's see the results. To start off, 689,000 millionaires didn't even open my message, and 247,000 left me on scene. These people have $1 million and they can't even spare me one. Now luckily 67,000 people actually replied. If you're wondering how I sent so many DMs, honestly I just connected my ChatGPT to Composio for You, which gave it access to over 1,000 apps including Instagram, and I just asked ChatGPT to send the messages for me. But from the 67,000 replies, 705 millionaires refused to give me any money, and around 33,000 of them just asked so many questions but ultimately didn't send me any money. But finally, after sending 1 million DMs, I managed to get 33,000 that actually sent me $1, with some of them even sending more than $1, which I'm not complaining about at all. So yeah, this might be the new method.
Yeah, this didn't happen, obviously.
Did the Eiffel Tower fall over? Is there a giant crack in the Great Wall of China? Did a pyramid fall into a sinkhole? No, those aren't real. But Google Earth now allows anyone to manipulate its satellite images. It's released a new tool that allows you to change satellite imagery using AI. Google says you can use the tool to bring history to life or to give your favorite place a makeover. We used the AI tool and put it to the test. What if we put a massive swimming pool outside the BBC office here in London? But it's obviously not here. Experts say this tool has dangerous implications.
If you were able to create an image that made it look like a missile strike had taken place on a location, that could be really, really destabilizing, particularly if it's shared on social media in contexts where people aren't necessarily checking everything carefully.
So whilst this tool can create totally unrealistic scenarios, it has the potential to spread real misinformation online. And there's nothing stopping someone from generating fake nuclear sites or missile bases in any country in the world. That could have real-world implications for wars that are happening right now. Google says there are some limitations. For example, it says you can't generate content that's sexually explicit, violent, or hateful, or generate any misinformation, among other things. But this sort of content could fuel misinformation. Google also claims that its own AI detector can spot fake imagery that comes from this new tool because of invisible AI watermarks, but we found it's possible to remove those. And even so, it still means that you have to go through the steps to find out if something's AI generated, which is what makes figuring out what's real and what's fake so difficult.
There is a very obvious and particular reason we are seeing this, and the fact that Google has opened this up as a free for all without, according to the BBC, any safety or guardrails. I won't say what it is though, mostly because I can't.
Can somebody explain to me what the hell is going on here? Shut up! People are saying that this is a real dragon, allegedly, but it's not. Why does it need so many people to carry it? Something is up. Guys, listen. I don't believe in dinosaurs, but I believe in dragons, guys. Why are these people using dragons at their concerts? What does this have to do with music? Something is going on here with this dragon, bro. It's always dragons. It's always something questionable. Something is going on here, guys, and I'm not sure what this has to do with music. Roro knows. Shut up. Listen, something's going on here, guys, and people are saying that this could possibly be a real dragon, which is not. Let's be serious, guys. Dragons don't exist. But it really makes you think, what's the point of this? What does this have to do with music? What does this have to do with a concert, allegedly? This is what people are saying. If you ask me, this is art. I'm just playing about, guys. Entertainment purposes only. Who cares if they pull out a dragon? It's not a real dragon. Come on, guys. This is entertainment. This is music. You know how it goes. I don't know what's going on at this concert. Let me know if you know what's going on at this concert. I'm out.
He solved his own mystery by saying for entertainment purposes only. If only he applied his own logic to what he is talking about here. It is for entertainment purposes only. That's the whole point. I don't understand the purpose of things like this myself. It just looks weird and feels weird and ultimately is pointless, isn't it?
A video with this picture came across my feed the other day and it really interested me. It says, "You are not ready for this conversation." It has pictures of mountains on the bottom with giant trees on top. Many of you may already know this, but there is a theory currently circulating that some of the mountains we see aren't actually formed by the natural process we've heard about, like tectonic plates moving, volcanic activity, or corrosion. Instead, people have theorized that many of the mountains we see, especially the ones with flat tops or a specific structure to them, are actually ancient giant trees that were cut down or destroyed and then petrified over the course of thousands of years. I know this whole theory sounds really crazy, but if you look at pictures of mountains and tree stumps side by side, you will find some eerie similarities in the way they look and are shaped. And it's also a pretty interesting coincidence that if you look at petrified wood today, it looks almost exactly like rocks or how a mountain would look if a big piece of wood was petrified. At the end of the day, these are all just theories, but leave a like and let me know in the comments. Do you think we had giant trees in the past, or is this all just nonsense?
I'm a sucker for a theory this daft and this sincere. Devil's Tower is called rock cracked into columns, which I suppose does resemble wood grain if you squint, and resembles is the whole evidence base for this theory. Petrified wood is real. Petrified mountains the size of an entire state? Yeah, I don't think so. Boil some old carrots and out comes a sheet of orange plastic. Genuinely fascinating, I guess.
Are you familiar with the CE5 protocol?
Nope.
Okay, Stephen Greer, what happened to him, he was actually contacted by these things very young. He had a near-death experience. He was taken up into a craft, and a couple of these entities, they meditated together. They developed the CE5 protocol. And the CE5 protocol is human-initiated contact to non-human intelligence. So you are going through meditation to reach out your consciousness to get these things to show up. Now, why is this dangerous? You're popping your head in the spirit world saying, hey, contact me. But here's what everybody's missed. Jesse Michaels on American Alchemy, when he was discussing Jake Barber's book, Sentinels of Ether, 4 weeks ago, that's at 900,000 views. And in that YouTube video, he walks you through the steps of how to do it. Then he actually says, hey guys, this is inherent to us as humans. What the government's been trying to hide, it's in you.
It's crazy how it's sneaking in like that though, because it's not like Christians, they can see like the old plain stuff, like the occultism and like aliens. Like it's such a foreign.
That's because we as Christians in our day-to-day, we live like naturalistic atheists. We act as if these entities, those that are loyal to God of the Bible and those that are hostile, that's ancient history. Please show me in the text where these things stopped.
As I've said before, if it involved Greer, I usually tune myself out. I can't help it at this point, you know, it's like a natural reflex for me.
I've never seen this in the UK, never in London. I mean, Hyde Park, my nigga. Nah, this is 13 Park.
At what point should we start to panic? Because records are being shattered around the world right now. The US just recorded their hottest month ever, beating the previous record set all the way back in 1936. 2/3 of England is now in severe drought. Yes, that England, after they just had their driest July since records began.
Moms and think I'm at the beach, bro.
China's largest desert just flooded after having its heaviest 24-hour downpour in recorded history. Meanwhile, Europe's rivers are having the opposite problem. They have fallen to record lows, which not only can be seen from space, but the dropping water levels are revealing all sorts of incredible discoveries. Global ocean temperatures just reached their highest ever in both June and July. In one single week, Japan, China, and the Philippines were hit with not one, not two, but 3 major storms, and France just had their worst wildfires ever recorded. But the craziest part, man, is this could just be the beginning, because meteorologist Ryan Moore suggests that the current Super El Nino gathering in the Pacific will be, quote, perhaps the strongest in 500 to 1,000 years, and could legitimately be the most extreme global weather or climate event experienced by humanity since the invention of the printing press. Thanks, Ryan. Comforting words.
All true, and his "at what point shall we panic" is far too overdue. The time to notice the patterns and be concerned are long gone.
All right, please do not inflate your lizards.
All these videos can be quite satisfying and cute to watch. This is not something that you should necessarily do if you own a reptile. This video shows a lizard in the process of molting. We can see that this person is blowing air into that loose skin, and it's quite satisfying to watch, especially seeing all these little nooks and crannies popping out, but it's still not a great idea. Those that are unaware as to what molting is, it's when reptiles remove and replace their old skin, typically to get rid of parasites and the dead skin cells. Now, unlike snakes, a lizard's skin is not necessarily going to come off all at once in one piece. Usually it comes off in segments. However, some owners have taken it upon themselves to help out here, and they get a straw, make an incision into that old skin, and then inflate it up so it removes it all at once. This is completely unnecessary though, and it can damage the new skin that's forming underneath, because you're forcing the process along. So it's obviously best to let the natural process take place. In the wild, they don't get inflated, they don't need it, so they also don't need it when they're in captivity.
Right, a sentence I never expected to hear. Don't inflate your lizard.
Second video on the Colombia earthquake, starting with a shout out of love to these astounding humans who risked their own lives in this vet clinic to take the terrified animals with them. More on that later. To recap, we saw a 7.4 magnitude inside the subducting Nazca plate, which normally moves east about 2 inches a year. We know this from GPS. Well, yesterday that move was 1 to 3 meters in seconds. The last comparable quake in this area was 1979. decline. USGS now models that over 1.2 million people experience the severe shaking. Death tolls are still climbing, with thousands of people believed to be missing. Yesterday, I showed how a quake can happen this deep with water locked inside minerals in the sinking plate that gradually gets forced out under pressure. The fluid rises into the mantle above, lowers the melting point, which feeds volcanoes. Now, as promised, footage of the incredible selfless bravery of the workers at this veterinary clinic in Medellin. This is what humanity is: stewardship of nature and those that need us. Continued wishes for safety for all involved in this horrible quake. I'll see you in the comments. Take care.
A very tragic and very humbling event have happened and does happen all over the world. It really makes me appreciate living in the UK even when I am still desperate to move out.
This woman drowned on Facebook Live with thousands of people watching. In August 2022, 24-year-old Helen Wendy started a Facebook live stream while swimming alone at a motel pool in Ontario. Helen had moved from Kenya to Canada to build a better future and help send money back home to pay school fees for 2 children and her family. While on this live stream, she chatted with viewers as she relaxed in the shallow end of the pool. A few minutes into her stream, she began swimming around and moved into the deeper part of the pool. And that's when Helen suddenly began struggling to stay above the water. According to several reports from people who viewed the live stream before it was removed, she called out for help, but there was no one nearby to hear her. So viewers watching online were completely helpless. They didn't know exactly where Helen was, so they didn't know how to get her help, and all they could do was watch. Even more disturbingly, Helen's phone continued to record from the edge of the pool long after she had disappeared beneath the surface. The live stream reportedly continued for hours before another hotel guest eventually discovered her in the water and emergency crews were called. And despite life-saving efforts, Helen was pronounced dead at the scene.
The fact this story is shared so wildly, like many other stories like it, on the internet, just as content. She was a person with children to feed, not a viral story or free and easy content. Her name was Helen.
About a year ago, I started formally researching the security posture of the police surveillance industry. Myself, John Gaines, and Joshua Michael found close to 60 security vulnerabilities within or closely related to Flock Safety's ecosystem. We were able to connect to and completely take control of the ALPR cameras. We could view or modify the footage. We could install malware on them. We could view the hard-coded credentials that led to other places. And there was even one that allowed us to track the real-time GPS location of police vehicles. I published a selfie video, literally pulled from one of the newly deployed Flock cameras right down the road at Peachtree Creek Greenway, and showcased how easily I was able to access zoomed-in footage of every single person who walked on that trail over the last 30 days without using a password. Some of these findings were reported to Flock directly, and some of them are now published and flagged by MITRE, which is part of Homeland Security to manage cybersecurity threats. Some of these are still rated today as high or critical vulnerabilities. Members of U.S. Congress have cited my research in a published letter to the FTC calling for a formal investigation into Flock's negligence as a risk to national security. So how did Flock respond to all this? Fake news. The CEO himself claimed that Flock had never been hacked, and he spent his time sending unsolicited emails to law enforcement agencies around the country telling them that their agency was under coordinated attack by activist groups who want to defund the police, weaken public safety, and normalize lawlessness. This was Flock's response to a formal report about security vulnerabilities. I watched Flock representatives stand up at City Hall meetings just like this one, look people dead in the eyes, and despite evidence verified by MITRE, claim that Flock has never been hacked.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, there are not documented breaches online. There's documented attempts to intrude on a single camera online, and that is like saying if someone hacks into your iPhone, Apple has been breached. It's simply a different concept.
I'm sitting over here fidgeting while your surveillance vendor keeps changing the definitions of data and security breach. So now we're all here, and we could go to the nearest Falcon camera right now, and I will lend you a laptop and walk you through the quick process of seeing if just one of these vulnerabilities have been fixed. I want someone to help me understand, given the evidence that we produced, how anyone would think that signing more contracts with any third-party surveillance vendor would be a good idea without setting up an independent security and ethics audit first. I can't open a barber shop or a Chick-fil-A without a safety inspection.
This is the kind of clip that I live for. A man at a council meeting calmly explaining that he broke into the surveillance system watching his whole town, while the firm's answer was to email the police calling him an activist out to defund the whole force. I mean, you can't make it up, can you?
I'm trying.
No, but you gotta count. Like no.
Okay. 1.
No, you don't sound sad. You're not crying. You're not heartbroken. Count. Dude, you haven't even gotten past 10. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your face. I didn't know. No, stop. No, please stop. No. No, stop. It's okay. No, please stop. No, it's okay. Oh my God.
I'm trying to stay with you.
Apologizing to a phone for hurting its feelings for the internet. Peak content of 2026.
So after backlash to Flock, a handful of US cities are ditching the company's automatic license plate reader cameras and immediately replacing them with basically the same systems from law enforcement contracting giant Axon, according to local media reports and government documents from around the country. And if you don't know, Axon, for example, advertises AI-powered cameras that attach to existing street lamps and are designed to completely blend in with their surroundings. They also collect license plate data with cameras installed inside police officers' patrol vehicles. This just signals what might come next for the nationwide conversation around ALPR cameras. Like, instead of getting rid of the cameras entirely, which 44 Media has linked to ICE, the tracking of a woman who self-administered an abortion, and rampant abuse by cops stalking their exes, some cities may enter contracts with another company, which has faced less scrutiny and backlash. Where has this happened? In Syracuse, for example, and Ferndale, Michigan, Knoxville, Texas, and these are just to name a few. But as for why cities are switching, documents and media reports show there are a few reasons, like local cops looking up things for ICE, and also data sharing across the nation. For example, Denver, Colorado, which is another city that did this, explicitly mentioned this lack of national network as part of its decision to ditch Flock for Axon. As far as data sharing under this contract, Axon does not have a national network. Flock's national lookup tool, for example, lets a Texas police officer search ALPR cameras not just in their own neighborhood or their state, but nationwide. That has included states with explicit bans on sharing ALPR data out of state like Illinois or sanctuary states like California. Axon simply doesn't have a national network, meaning it's not possible for cops in one jurisdiction to search cameras across the country. Flock even highlights this in its own side-by-side feature as a plus for Flock. It says Flock has a quote unmatched nationwide network, which goes on to say that Axon's data sharing is limited because they have no shared national network. Police departments using Axon can enter data sharing agreements with each other, though. In Axon's own documentation for its ALPR product, a shared data option extends a query to partner agency detections once a sharing relationship is active. Of course, none of that changes the basic facts of how ALPR cameras work, which constantly scan all passing vehicles regardless of what vendor runs them. Switching vendors also does not address the more fundamental issue of whether such technology should require a warrant or not.
A very interesting system they have set up there, but that's all I can say on that one.
This is how time zones work at the South Pole. It's about 10 p.m. on UTC time at the South Pole, but the South Pole station behind me doesn't actually operate on UTC time. They are using New Zealand time. And the beauty of being at the South Pole is that all the lines of time zones and lines of longitude all converge here, meaning you can pretty much pick whatever time you want. The sun is in the sky 24 hours a day, so it really doesn't matter. This could be 8 a.m, this could be 8 p.m, it could be midnight, it could be midday, it doesn't matter.
Living in total daylight for months sounds like hell to me as someone who tries to sleep during the day and work through the night, but that's the note that we'll actually leave it on for today, something a little upbeat for a change, I guess. And yes, if you made it to this point in the video and you enjoyed it, I ask if, while you earn your subscription, that you hit that notification bell on your way through. If you enjoyed the video though, please also like the video. Let me know what you enjoyed. Tell me what you want to see more of. Tell me what you want to see less of. I do listen to the feedback and I do my best to curate these episodes to best inform you in the way that you want to be informed. But the most important thing that you can all do for me, and I sincerely mean this, is stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.